Hi, my name is Mizrahi. I'm the 2017 BA Book Conference. We're finding out some of the newest, hottest authors of this year, and I am very excited to show you them. Let's go find them. Right now we're outside the Winter Wolf Press publishing house, where they're up-and-coming authors, exciting fantasy books and things like that, doing amazing things. I'm excited to check it out. I'm with Arlene of Winter Wolf. Tell me a little bit about your house and what you do.
Well, Winter Wolf Press is a small press, and we just opened up a year ago, and so we're super excited because we're here at BA for the first time. And the main reason that we opened the press is to help promote joy and peace and everything into the world. We want to bring back that sense of joy and adventure from our stories and to our readers. And so that's why we're here. We're here to promote some of our titles that we're super excited about this year. And one of them is a middle grade fantasy. Another one is a dark young adult, more new adult fantasy. And one of our nonfiction titles is also here as well. So that's our main focus, is also to really look for those stories that can help bring a wonderful sense of joy to the world.
That's awesome. So fantasy, young adult kind of things.
Yeah.
So you're really the gatekeeper here.
Yeah, my main job at Winter Wolf Press is I am the Director of Operations and Acquisition. So I help run the press, and I'm also the last box that needs to tick off on whether or not we sign a new author and we acquire a title. So it's a great job, and it's a great position because I get to see everything from the inception onto when it's finished, and being part of that process.
What do you look for in a new author?
What we look for is a story that really speaks to us and also is going to transcend just the now. We want something that's kind of timeless. I mean, I know that's something that everybody says that they want, but it's really important to have a story that can influence not just this generation, but those to come.
I love it. That's beautiful. All right, back to you.
Thank you.
I'm with Cant Sue, award-winning, best-selling author, has a killer fantasy book for teens. I know I would have read it when I was a kid. Tell us a little bit about your new book.
It's about a fairy that has no clue that humans exist, and she gets plunged through a portal and ends up in the human world, and she meets three 12-year-old kids who are just as curious about her as she is about them, and then they have to race against time to save her life amidst bullying and creatures that don't want her to get back home.
That's very interesting. It kind of sounds like a reverse on the whole fantasy thing. It's usually the humans are discovering the fantasy world, and this time it's like the hero's journey is the fantasy is discovering the human world.
It's both, yes. The perspective switches between Nevia, which is the main fairy character, and the kids. And something different about this book is, like, a lot of books have one main heroine, and this one is all about teamwork, coming together and working together. And so you shift between. So you get to see her perspective, you get to see their perspective, so that you get to understand her world a little bit more, because she thinks very differently than a human.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of, I kind of want to say like Peter Pan, you know, because there's a fairy aspect trying to, I don't know if you saw Hook.
I did see Hook.
Okay.
Love that movie.
So it's kind of like that, a little bit of the fairy thing.
Yes, it is kind of like that. Now, my fairy is different than Tinkerbell. My fairy is not as attached to a boy per se, and she's more engrossed in nature, and she's very committed to doing her job and helping the flowers bloom and feeding the trees rays of sunlight and things like that, and to helping the plants to grow in harmony. And that's all she knows until she gets thrust into this other world.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. So this is not your first book, right?
Right. This is not my first book ever written, but this is the first book in this series.
Okay. How many books are going to be in the series, do you think?
Originally, I had planned for 7 books. However...
7?
7, yes. However, this book was trimmed down. I only have 1/3 of the original book left, so now I'm taking the back material and making that into more books. So this could be anywhere from 7 to 10, possibly 14 books.
Wow. I would have loved this as a kid. I'm going to love this now as an adult. I'm almost 30. This is going to be my thing.
Thank you, thank you. I've had people as old as 65-year-old men saying, I loved it. When's the next one coming out?
That's awesome.
And so.
That's great. So you had a little bit of press.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what these lovely people have said on the back of the book and all that stuff?
Yes, I'm very excited. Vanity Fair, as you can see here. Should I read it to you? Betwixters is a poetic and magical journey that leaves you mesmerized in the imagery. And that was from Vanity Fair, France. And I'm very thankful for that because I'm very visual and I really try to do a stellar job of world building to a point where it leaves your imagination to see what's there, but you get enough details to know like what the layout is. And then we've got some more reviews from the back from the blogs at the New York Times that they say that this is a series to watch, and I'm very excited about that. Terry Fader in Las Vegas is the headliner at the Mirage, loved it.
Craziness. A magician loved it.
Yeah, and a puppeteer as well, and he compared it to some series, but I can't say that name because it's huge.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then, yeah. I'm very excited about the press I've gotten on it. It's amazing.
So when is this going to be out to the public? Is it out already? Where can we find this?
At this point in time, it's only available to reviewers, but it comes out available for the public on July 1st of this year.
Okay. Where can we get it in July 1st?
Probably the best bet is Barnes & Noble or Amazon online at this point. Yeah.
That is so exciting. Laura, thank you so much. This is awesome. I'm pumped for you.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to read this bad boy.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Catch soon. Hi, my name is Andy Mizrahi. I'm at the 2017 BEA Book Conference with Christine Cantini with her new book, Death Awakens to Life. Tell me a little bit about your crazy journey that you had to get to this book. What happened? Why do you have a book? Where is this from? Tell us.
Well, I had a massive heart attack in my late 30s, and they didn't expect me to recover. What actually made the recovery possible was meditating. If I hadn't been meditating before, I don't think I would have been able to recover as I did. So there was a lot of stuff on my side already. And 3 days after the heart attack, after they showed my family these videos that I would be a vegetable and how to take care of me, I got up and walked.
That is insane. They pronounced you a vegetable and you were able to get up and recover from that. Tell me about your book. This is from your book, right? You wrote this book based on your recovery and how other people can recover from things like that.
They can recover from it, but what happened to me after I was recovering and walking around, how my life changed. I ended up seeing a lot of things. I thought I had brain damage, actually. I went to a neurologist and had to be checked out because I was seeing lights, which I found out later are orbs, and I was seeing people, and I thought, okay, this is really strange. I was hearing things, and things that I started to remember things from my childhood that made sense suddenly, like the first time I was out of my body walking around when I was an elementary school child. And I remember how it looked, how it was foggy and misty and everything. And as a kid, I wasn't allowed outside at night. So for me to have this memory as a kid was really, really super interesting to me. And I remember when I'm walking between the cars, and the cars weren't there during the day. I went to bed at 7 o'clock, by the way. So at night, there was more cars, which I didn't know either as a kid. And a cat saw me walking. And he hissed at me, and that scared me back in my body, and I thought I woke up from a dream. But after I died, I realized I'd been out of my body walking around. So things like that started to change for me when I came back. Lots of memories like that coming in about what we do all the time, that we're all able to do these things. And so I started working towards this feeling that I had while I was dead of wellness, because I'd lived most of my late teen and adult life in deep depression, wanting to be dead. So I was actually super pissed when I came back that they saved my life, because I was like, I want to be dead.
So were you were dead for a few minutes, or what?
It's a little bit different than the typical dead. So what had happened is I have something called sudden cardiac death, and my heart goes so fast that the oxygen doesn't move. And basically, so for 45 minutes, I didn't have oxygen in my body. My system was not moving oxygen for 45 minutes. And they shocked me 5 times and got my heart to start beat again. And that's why they knew, they were, in their medical terms, I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't be okay. They were assuming I would be brain dead, that my lungs would be destroyed. A lot of things should have gone wrong.
So, what happened? Tell me again.
So with the book, why did we write the book? I actually started writing, I started with the press to write a book on methods of wellness, which is what I do now. I work with healing and how to keep the body whole and how to be okay from big deal stuff. And when they started asking me questions, they're like, and you do this, and you know that? And because I started saying, well, yeah, I learned it because I used to talk to dead people. And they're like, what? And so that's what the book is really about, the beginning of how talking and working with the dead gave me the ability that I have to work with the living.
So, does M. Night Shyamalan do anything for you?
Actually, I've been kind of preserved from reading or seeing anything, so I don't really know that. So.
I'm kidding. It's a Sixth Sense joke.
Oh.
Not a good joke.
Oh, I see dead people. I know that line. Yeah, it was hard to admit at first because I was a skeptic. And like I said, when this stuff started happening, I thought I had brain damage. And I apologized to my family, and I started staying in my room. And I thought, if I just meditate, I can fix this. And the more I meditated, the more I became aware. And so I was meditating like 3 hours a day for almost a whole year, and advancing and learning a lot of stuff. And finally, I just accepted that it was real because the preponderance of evidence was so great, I couldn't deny it anymore.
Okay. So my question to you is, someone suffering with something, cancer or some kind of crazy life thing, right? And using your book, maybe we could glean some lessons on how to recover the right way using, I think you were saying something before.
The book itself will not give them the methods, but we're working to get those up on my website. So the book will give them an understanding of what is possible. And then from there, once the brain knows something's possible, then you're more likely to be able to work with the information and get further along with it. If you don't believe that it's possible, then even just me telling you to meditate will be like, oh yeah, everybody does that. It doesn't actually cure anything. But if you were to read the book and see that, oh wow, this is amazing, this is possible, then when I say, would you please meditate, you're more likely to spend the 2 minutes a day to get started with it and to put it into effort. And then that's just the beginning. The meditation is what brings you to this connection. And then once you have the connection, then you can learn other methods to actually heal your DNA, your cellular structure, brain damage. I communicate with people that have no vocabulary. So for instance, one of my grandsons is autistic, and for the first 4 years of his life, he wasn't talking very much. And so his mother would call me up and say, hey, what's going on with my grandson? And I would say like, oh, this is what's happening right now. And she'd be like, okay, thank you. Because, you know, autistic children, they have high emotions and they react very strongly. So to be able to talk to people who aren't at the regular communication level, just even being telepathic, if you meditate, you can learn how to do that. But if you don't meditate, it's really hard for me to teach you how to be telepathic.
So when my brother starts drinking, he gets very jumbly. You could definitely translate all that.
Yes, we could do that too.
Okay, so this is more about, again, so this is your journey.
This is the beginning.
Why
this happened, why I do what I do.
Why you do what you do. And this is going to be a series, you were saying, right? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, this is the first of 3 books in this series. It's possible there'll be a 4th, but there's definitely 3 that we already have outlined. The second book will deal with children, plants, and pets. So everyone always says, do animals go to heaven? Do dogs go to heaven? Well, that's going to be in the second book. And do you have to feel guilty if you kill your plants? Are they upset with you if you kill them? Stuff like that. That'll be in the second book.
So you're becoming a little bit of like a death expert.
That's what happened. It wasn't on purpose. It just, they kept showing up. And in the book it talks about that, how they showed up, why they showed up, what I did with them when they showed up, and how come I became an expert in it.
Can I see this thing? This awesome book. I want to hold this a minute. So this looks like a great book. Nice, light read. When I read this is going to be one of those things that's going to give me a good perspective on life. You know, if I go through a hard time or something, or if I know, you know, we're all human. Who knows? I could read this and maybe help inspire others. Like, look, it can be done. The good things can happen even in tough times.
And how people feel about when a loved one dies. It doesn't have to be this debilitating experience. I understand we all need to go through our grieving, but when a loved one dies, to know that you can talk to them, and I do help people learn how to do that. It's not impossible. Everybody can do it. You just have to know what to look for, and once you start looking for it, it's just like learning English. Once you know something, you continually get better at it, and before you know it, you could write a whole book.
So do you believe, what do you, couple more questions. I'm so curious. I really am. I could talk to you all about this all day. What do you think about ghosts?
There's more than one kind of ghost. So you have like energy that gets stuck in time and space that replays itself. So you come across that. A lot of people think that's a ghost, but it's not. It's just trapped energy. So when somebody goes and they release something from your house, that's normally what's happening with those. If there's a ghost, oh, this is a big thing that I like to teach people too. If you think you have a ghost in your house and you're trying to communicate to them and you're not sure if you're communicating or not, and you can kind of hear stuff, but you're not sure if you're making it up, the easiest way to tell if you're making it up or not is to not anticipate the answer to the conversation. Because we as human beings, we're trained to anticipate what's coming next, so we sort of hear what somebody's going to say before they actually say it. And if you don't anticipate and you just wait and you listen, like to the quietest sounds, if you listen, then you can tell the difference.
Okay. I have one last question, or two more, really. One and a half. Who is this? Who wants to pick this book up? Who is gonna? That's my question.
The book is for anyone who's ever wondered. If you've ever wondered if it's real, this is the book for you.
What's real?
If there's life after death, if ghosts actually exist, if we can talk to them, if you've ever felt something and wondered, was that a person, was that a ghost? If you've ever, again, even just had somebody die in your life, this is a book for you.
So this is a book about connecting with the dead and the afterlife, what happens from a person who has experienced it firsthand by dying for 45 minutes, coming back to life. Now she sees it, experiences it, understands it on a first-hand basis. Coming out in
Halloween of 2017.
We had the best time at BEA. Right now we're at the Winter Wolf Press. Tomorrow's BookCon, and we're excited to check it all out.